Welcome to this beautiful community of the Vernal, with all the beauties that you've seen yesterday and yet to see today and some tomorrow. So please take time to play. I hope you brought your families with you. This is one of those rare treasure points that you need to travel to get to it. It's not easy to get to it, but once you get in, it's one of those commercials. You check in, no check out. So thank you for being here. I call this meeting officially in order. Let's start with the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Commissioner Van Tassel to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. I recognize the Senator Winterton today this morning. Thank you. And he was with us yesterday with some representatives. And I also recognize Tom Carter from the governor's office. Thank you for being here and supporting us. And I don't see Mayor this morning, but he was in the tour. And those of you who missed the tour, you missed a big deal. It was a good one. We saw some beautiful places, some projects, and of course, it was just one of those amazing portions that we're going to try to get involved in the future. Thank you. So let's start with the introduction first. I'm going to go from my left and state your name and the area you represent, please.
Thank you. I'm Rhonda Menlove, and I represent Region 1, which includes Rich, Cache, Fox Elder, Morgan, Weaver, and Davis counties.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Natalie Gochner. I represent Region 2, which consists of Salt Lake, Summit, and Tooele counties, if I'm getting it right. And I work at the University of Utah and always love when I can come to Vernal. So great to be with you today.
Donna Law, I'm a commissioner at large, and my home is in Cedar City.
Thank you.
Lou Kramer, Commissioner at Large. I live in downtown Salt Lake, and this is everything and more that Senator Van Tassel always told us about. Thank you so much for the warm welcome in Vernal.
Jim Evans, I represent Region 3, which technically it starts from here and goes back over to Utah County. Usually over there coming today, we're here on this part of our region. I live in Orem, so it's good to be with you today.
Commissioner Kevin Van Tassel, I am a commissioner at large. I live here in Vernal. Welcome. We had a great tour yesterday. And everything I told you yesterday was true to the best of my knowledge and fact.
Nice disclaimer.
My name is Nagi Sanadi. I'm coming from sunny St. George and a little bit cooler than normal. Thank you. And I serve as the chair of the commission. Carlos, would you please introduce our UDOT family?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carlos Braceros, Executive Director of the Utah Department of Transportation. And I'm going to ask the team here to go around the room with introductions.
Terry Newell, Deputy Director, Planning and Investment. Lisa Wilson, Deputy Director, Engineering and Operations.
First, let's start there and come across.
Distribution Project Development Director. Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Eric Rassman, Region 3 Planning.
Larry Montoya, Project Manager, Region 3.
Nathan Lee, Director of Technology and Innovation. Rob Myers, Director of Traffic Safety.
Nate Elder, Deputy Policy Director.
Diane McGuire with the Corridor Preservation Fund.
Ryan
Yeah, and Communication Manager.
Linda Hall, Legislative Director.
Rob White, Region 1 Director. Dan Hewitt, Program Development Director.
Stephanie Tomlin, UDOT Central 3. Elizabeth McMillan, Director of Communications.
Bob McMillan, Strategic Investment. I'm Bob Hill, I'm SIP Coordinator. I'm Harvard Financial Program.
Carrie Ann.
Neville, Technology and Innovation.
Grant Potter, UDOT Communications.
Becky Lewis, Executive Assistant.
You will be serving as your commission secretary.
Yes. Thank you for being here. And as you can see, it takes more than one village to raise a kid. Thank you for being here today. So next item on the agenda is local area presentation. Today we will hear from Rob Clayton and then followed by Larry Montoya and Eric Rasban.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. We love working out here in the basin with our partners, and we have great relationships here. And it's always a pleasure when we get to come to the basin. And it's awesome to host the Transportation Commission meeting and to be able to do it in person again. And it was fun to have everybody on the tour yesterday, and I'm glad you could join us, and appreciate the help and support of everybody here in Vernal and in the basin, helping to bring that tour together. This morning we're going to tell you about the activity that we have here out in the basin with projects, and there's a considerable amount of activity here. A lot of progress made on some important projects and upcoming projects. So you're going to hear from Larry Montoya, who's our project manager here for the basin. We're divided up geographically, so he is involved in every project that happens out here. And then following Larry, we're going to hear from Eric Rasban, who's going to address us about some planning issues. So I'll turn it over to Larry.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner and Commissioners. Thank you, Rob. So this first slide is a listing of the projects that are currently under construction in the basin. The map illustrates the location of each of these projects. This year, the focus of the projects up here has been more on. Sure. Is it working okay?
It's working okay. I just need to share it to the meeting. So now we can see it.
Mr. Chairman, while they're doing that, I failed to recognize that we have our partners, Federal Highway Administration.
We'll recognize them.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this one here.
Two steps up there to help Lou.
Just give orders.
What we're gonna have to do. Okay.
There we go. Yes, okay, so they're
You
seeing
have
the full.
Okay. Just like, we have to get it so that it's on the broadcast, so that we record it, otherwise we're not recording it. What is the basic limit to be on? What is it?
Used to be built on,
Go back to start presenting.
they built a new one now, so.
Got it covered.
And go back to present. You tried your entire screen. You choose the screen. It's very interesting.
My great grandfather
Should always.
homesteaded.
I think she's just here. So go back and I'll explain. I would share it. Okay, we're good.
Okay.
Sorry
Oh,
for the interruption.
Okay, all right. So this is a listing of the projects that are currently under construction this year. And as you can see, many of these are rehab type projects where we're resurfacing the pavement, like on US 40 there between Gusher and SR 88. That's number 4. On 121, there's another resurfacing project between LaPointe and Vernal. There's some work going on SR 44 up north of Vernal on the road that leads up to Manila, which is in the top part there. And in addition to that, we're doing some repairs to bridge decks at Starvation Bridge, Flaming Gorge Bridges, some drainage improvement projects, a new signal, the new signal was installed at 1500 South in Vernal. So that's the first signal you come in as you're heading east into town. It's the far west end of town. So I'd like to highlight a couple of those projects. US 40 Main Street Drainage Project. You got to see the finished product yesterday downtown on the tour. And this project added a second 24-inch storm drain line between 400 West and 500 East. So it's about a mile section that we worked on. We also did some work at 600 West there. The existing line shares irrigation water in addition to trying to handle storm runoff. And so this additional line will address flooding issues that have occurred on a regular basis, unfortunately, when big storms come through the area. So here's a picture. This is before, during, and after pictures. The one on the left was a major storm event that occurred a few years ago. You know, we photographed this, and this is when we began the study and the project at that time, looking into ways to address that problem. The middle one is a bypass that was being constructed. We did some additional work to the west there, where there was a diversion structure, and we bypassed around that diversion structure so stormwater could continue through and into the system without being blocked there by that diversion structure. So that was a major improvement there. We've lined pipes. So basically, we've extended the life of the system for many years. And you can see the picture on the right is the finished product that you saw yesterday. Another project I'd like to highlight is the US 40 Starvation Bridge project. This bridge spans over Starvation Reservoir. It's a 1/4 mile long. It's a long structure, and it needed some work on the deck and the parapet concrete walls along either side of the bridge. It had the old style tubular rail along the top of that. It was low. And so what we did, some work needed to happen on that parapet. So we had the contractor cut off the top 12 inches of that, remove the rail, and then reconstruct the top portion of it, tying into the existing rebar that's in that wall. So to do that, they had to cut vertical sections along there and physically jackhammer sections of it out while capturing all of that debris so it didn't end up in the reservoir. So they developed a special box that they hung over the side from a track hoe to capture all of this. And then let's see if this is going to work. I hope this works. Well, I'm sorry. I guess it's okay. Can you see that? Yes. We had a video prepared of this, and I'm sorry, but it looks like it's not connecting up. But in this picture, you can see that arrangement where they're jackhammering the material out and capturing it there. And then if you had the pleasure of driving through here, you got to see how the project was going. They've completed the walls, and they're working on the deck repairs now and getting that resurfaced.
You're not going to have a video movie tonight?
I don't know. I guess
That's
not.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We spent a lot of time on that too, so unfortunately, it's not working for some.
We'll have our money back.
Oh no, it's trying to connect with Google Drive.
what's going on here.
It's a beautiful picture anyway, Larry.
Commissioners, in your packet, that was sent out last week, that presentation is there, and you just click on the link, it can play that video.
Yeah, I've seen it. I just want the public to see it and enjoy it.
I think I need some help here because I don't have an advance button.
I'd like to point out that is water underneath the bridge.
The name of Starvation Bridge kind of gives you an idea of the challenges that the pioneers had here. Live on.
So Commissioner Van Tassel, what is the story behind the name itself? Why with that kind of water? Why starvation?
Because everybody at homesteaded up there about starved out.
Really?
Those floods that come down and they get the irrigation systems up and running, a flash flood would occur up in Timber Canyon or Red Creek or something, come down and wipe them all. That was a tough area to homestead.
Okay, the next bridge project that we're working on is up in Daggett County, and this is at Flaming Gorge Reservoir. The picture on the left shows the Cart Creek Bridge. It's a beautiful suspension bridge there that we're repairing the deck on that as well, resurfacing it. They're making some minor repairs to some of the cables that were showing some early signs of some rust, corrosion. So those have been treated and painted. And we also added some attenuator crash cushions on one end of the bridge to make that a little bit safer there. The one on the right is the Spillway Bridge, which is on the other side of the dam. As you know, 191 crosses over the dam at Flaming Gorge Reservoir, and this amazing road was constructed on the side of the mountain there, and you can see it just kind of hangs there. And so the deck there as well needed some repairs, pothole repairs, resurfacing. We improved the drainage along the mountainside there to prevent water from inflowing underneath and causing damage to the concrete. Okay, doesn't look like it's going to go either. Well, we'll move on. I'm sorry. I wish this would have worked for you because we had some really nice. There's the picture. But you can see how that road just cantilevers out over the mountainside there. And so this project has been handled very well. We've been working with the Bureau of Rec on this to keep them in the loop as to what work we're doing there and to keep traffic moving across the dam as obviously it's a security issue. So project is wrapping up very quickly. We'll be wrapping up here in the next 3 weeks. Another project that we've been working on is replacement of CCTV cameras throughout Region 3. There's 12 locations within the basin that will be replaced. These are old live view cameras that are available so they can check road conditions. Our maintenance will rely on these cameras a lot, especially in the basin where we've got so many remote sections of road that they're responsible for. So the cameras will allow them to check road conditions, see how much snow is out there without having to physically drive, an hour out into these remote areas to check on the conditions. So these new cameras will have better visibility in dark situations at night or during storms. Local government projects. We have a whole bunch of local government projects that are in design right now. This is the listing of those projects. And we're working with Vernal City, Uinta Transportation Special Service District, Ballard City, Roosevelt, Duchesne County Special Service District, Mighton as a project to improve the street on Main Street there through town. And these projects, it's a pleasure working on these projects because I get to work with the local communities, with the local leaders. Our role at UDOT is to provide, to lead the locals through the process of getting these projects out to advertise and helping them efficiently utilize the funds that are available to them. Because as you know, the resources are limited and I know that the communities really appreciate the opportunity to have these projects and improve their towns and cities. There's also some safety improvement projects that are underway or under design now, some safe sidewalk and safe routes to school. And these are state funded now. So the cities and the towns have really appreciated that because they can just jump on it and get going without going through the whole process that we would do for a federally funded project. So this is a listing of region, let's see, these are projects that'll be, all right. Okay, 2022, these are projects that are in design now for construction next year. So we have a number of rehab projects on US 40. There's a mill and overlay project on 87, 208. The projects highlighted in blue, I'm going to give you a little bit more information about. Let's see. So we have two signal projects that are underway now. One is in Naples here at 1000 South in US 40. So it's on the east end of town as you're going into Naples. And this project is important. The signal will provide improved access for the school buses. Duchesne County School District has purchased this property here for their bus servicing center. It's all complete. They're going to start running buses out of there this month. The signal, we had to purchase some right of way on the corners to make that signal, to construct the signal. So we expedited the design and we're working through the right of way acquisition process now. And we hope to get that signal constructed late this year or early next year when everything is cleared. This was kind of a short timeline on this. So we've been working closely with Maple City and working hard to get that out. The signal in Roosevelt on 121 and 300 West, this signal just warranted a school crossing warrant. It will serve an elementary school that's up here to the north, and also kids walk across the signal to the south to the junior high school. There's also the Uinta Medical Center, Uinta Basin Medical Center, which is at the north there as well. So there's a lot of traffic that goes through this signal, or this intersection, as you can imagine. In the mornings, parents dropping kids off, school buses, access to the medical center. So we've been working with Roosevelt City, the school district, and people from the medical center as well to kind of coordinate and receive input from them all about how this is going to function. The signal will make it a lot safer for people across the street there and all users. SR 121. This is located west of Vernal as you're heading towards La Pointe. This is an area that this is a culvert that crosses underneath the highway there. This culvert serves a very large watershed area. That area is, I'll tell you, it's about 4,100 acres. It's a huge area. And this one culvert is supposed to handle all that water. It's been there for many years. It's about 8.5 feet wide and 6.5 feet high. Recently, when this big storm came through, it washed silt and water over the highway. It's happened a number of times in the last 5 or 6 years. And so this project will replace that culvert with a larger one that's about 15 feet wide and 6.5 feet high. So it's sized to accommodate the amount of flow that's going through there. And you know, our maintenance people are constantly working on clearing the channel, making sure that this one, they've done all that they can do to maintain this, but it's time to replace it. And Moonshine Arch, we mentioned this yesterday on the tour as we were coming back from the Simplot overview. And this is becoming a popular destination for tourists and hikers, the Moonshine Arch. If you ever get a chance to go there, it's a nice short little walk. It's the existing access is right on the curve there, and so it's in a really poor location. There isn't a turning lane. It's not a very good location. So what we've done is we're working to design a widened section of the highway here to provide a left turn lane, better access there, better visibility. And we've teamed up with Uinta County, who's going to construct the dirt access road to tie into this intersection here. When this is complete next spring, the existing road will be abandoned and the wayfinding sign will be moved up here to direct people down to the arch. Yes.
Let me ask a question on this one.
Yes.
I want to just follow in Lou's footsteps with Senator Van Tassel and ask why this is named Moonshine Arch.
I was about to ask the same
You
question.
didn't go out
Last night, there was a still up there during Prohibition. Can't guarantee that, but I would suspect that. And actually, the moon would, as certain times of the year, the moon frames in that arch.
I had the highest expectations.
Yes.
myself.
Nagi,
Yes.
may I make a comment?
Please.
We took the advantage yesterday afternoon to walk up to Moonshine Arch, and by the time we were weaving through all of the different paths and trying to figure out the correct path, we figured that might relate to the title. But I wanted to say that there were many families there walking up to the arch. I was really impressed with how many people were accessing it yesterday. So
It is amazing how popular it's become.
yes, that's great.
And it's a nice little walk. So, so you probably noticed the trailhead has been improved. That was a Uinta County project that we worked with them on. They provided improved parking area, better signing to find the parking area, because before it was, you weren't ever sure if you were on the right road. They provided some tie-off areas for horses, things like that. So it's become a good site to visit. I don't know if the picture will come up, but this was an overview. We had a video of this as well. That's not the only one. There it goes.
we have addressed a lot of those short-term solutions. And we meet quarterly with the Uinta County and Duchesne, Daggett County commissioners. And at one of our more recent meetings, they asked us, they were very appreciative of the investment that's been made in US 40 and asked for us to not forget about US 40. So they asked us to update that plan. We're in that process right now, and we're working with the counties, the youth business committee, to make sure that we're capturing their needs as well. And really starting to develop a project list. We hope to inform the update to the 2023 long range plan that we're just starting that effort on right now. So, okay, I'm going to turn it now over to Rob Clayton.
We had an opportunity yesterday to visit the Simplot mine property and see the site of the potential public-private partnership that we've been working on. It's not a normal project, obviously, with the partnership that we discussed, but you saw the area where the alignment could be in the future, and the tremendous amount of material that would need to be moved to make that happen. And that moving of that material is the value that the Simplot mine would bring to that partnership. But just wanted to let you know that and everybody here that that we're working on developing that concept and trying to find solutions to this unique challenge and opportunity that we've been given for that project. So with that, we're finished. If you have any questions for us.
I have a question. As we talked about and toured this project, we came to understand that Simplot, as they're moving across the road, they're kind of the catalyst to do this now. What kind of window are we looking for that we need to complete this in?
Right. So yes, there is a window where it makes sense for them as they move their operation to keep things efficient. And for them, we would need to have the road realigned by 2025. So we have some time.
Okay.
We have the luxury of some time.
Helpful. Thank you.
Rob, that was a very helpful tour, and it's so helpful to actually see what we're talking about. What is that phrase at the bottom of benefits? Improves out of direction travel for trucking.
Yeah, right now the trucking industry, a lot of them will avoid this area, and so they will detour over to make their connections. They'll go over into Colorado and down and back into Utah. We talked to the trucking industry out here, and some companies will use this route. More experienced truck drivers will use it. New drivers, they don't allow them to use this route just because of the danger in the switchbacks. It's just basically they're putting extra mileage on their trip because they're avoiding the area.
I'd also publicly like to thank Simplot for their active participation in improving safety. The two escape routes that are up there, part of Simplot's reclamation was as they dug those, did work, and then UDOT kind of finished them up. But they've been a very good partner in safety. And part of that's because they're the ones that are first on site and send their medical personnel to take care of them. We've reduced fatalities up there through their help and with UDOT's significantly. And it was not uncommon to have 2 or 3 deaths a year coming off that mountain. I don't think we've had one this year, to my knowledge.
No fatalities, I don't believe.
But we still have some. We get down and people misjudge these switchbacks. We have some nasty accidents, and I hate to admit it, but even I had a close call there once. That was my fault. I just misjudged and got caught between 2 trucks, and it's easy to do. But this will certainly be a benefit for safety, for the recreation people, and for all of those people that use that. A 5% grade with no switchbacks is a lot better road for everybody than what we have currently. And I think I heard Carlos say yesterday, without the participation of Simplot, we would never, without Simplot, we could never get this access. And so Simplot benefits because they're able to take the mineral out from under the existing, and we end up with a better, safer road. So Simplot, thank you if you're listening. We appreciate you. And there's some families that's got loved ones home that will love you forever.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know there's something needs to happen now to put on notice here.
Well, next item is going to be bridges, so you don't have to worry about for now. We just asked as a commission from the leaders of these communities, if you're serving as the commissioners, the county commissioners, the mayors, city managers, Quinn, the senators, or the representative, please notice that how much money this morning was talking about, millions. Please share this with your constituents. Let them know their tax dollars at work is working, seriously working. These are the good videos that you can use for your gatherings, Chamber of Commerce time, if the people coming to attend, where's my money going in this, and most of the people don't know. I wasn't aware of any of these improvements and the money that we spend in our communities before I joined UDOT and UDOT Commission. It is one of those information that not too many, they're too humble to tell us, we did this in your community, to be honest with you. So please, as the leaders of communities, take these videos, have a copy of it, and use it in your presentations, your gatherings. Thank you. Next item of agenda is Federal Highway Administration, and we have Bridget Mendel. It's gonna give us the report via online, I guess, through the Zoom or whatever you have. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'm going to try and share my screen. Okay. Good morning. I'm Brigitte Mandel. I'm the Deputy Division Administrator with the Utah Division. I'm happy to be here today, stepping in for Ivan Marrero. I have 4 items that I'd like to share with you today. The first one is on July 1st, a notice of funding opportunity for the Accelerated Innovation Deployment Demonstration Program grants was announced. There is $10 million available under this opportunity, and it is available for states, local, and tribal governments. Most recently this year, UDOT received a $1 million grant under this program for its use of 3D modeling software, e-construction, drones, and other technologies to help improve project delivery. The closing date, applications are due September 28th of this year. Just this week, we wrapped up a materials quality assurance program review. Representatives from FHWA's Resource Center and headquarters completed the review along with the division. It looked at UDOT's materials quality assurance program, their practices and procedures, and assessed their implementation of Title 23 CFR 637 subpart B. The review went very well. I'd like to thank Bill Lawrence and his staff and the numerous project personnel that all contributed to the review. There were a couple recommendations, but far more best practices that they could take back. So thank you for your participation. Just on June 28th, Federal Highway approved the statewide planning and research work program for fiscal year 22. This program will receive just over $5.5 million in federal funds, and the total program value is just over $7 million. And lastly, always got to end on a good note. Federal Highway receives a report quarterly to help us assess, the potential for inactive projects. This list of projects that we get is typically those projects that have a value, an unexpended balance of $150,000 or more, with no activity in the past 9 months. And so the goal of this is to keep projects from becoming inactive. Out of 2,477 projects nationwide, Utah had just 2 projects on the list, and both have been resolved already. So again, we want to thank UDOT, commend them for their partnership and their excellent practices in place to keep projects off the inactive list. And with that, that's all I've got. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
There's no question, Brigitte, but we just want to say thank you, you and Ivan. We love you as a partners. You defied the statement made by President Reagan that I'm from the federal government. I'm here to help you. So thank you. Always been helpful to us. Appreciate it very much.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Next item of agenda is UDOT scoreboard, and Chris Peterson and I believe Robert Miles will present this part of the agenda.
Thank you, commissioners. Robert and I were in the back doing rock, paper, scissors to see who's go first, but you said my name first. We decided
Okay, sit down. I start all over.
It feels good to be in person with you. I wasn't able to be at your last in-person meeting, so it feels good to have just a little bit of nervousness as I stand before you. So I'm excited to be here today. I'm going to attempt to manipulate the computer. We'll see how this goes. Excellent. Okay, so let me navigate to our dashboard that we use. We've been making a few updates to the dashboard, trying to make it a little bit more usable for us as we manage our program. So if you're paying attention, first I'll navigate to the strategic direction. I'll navigate there so you can see how I do it. If you're paying attention, you will notice the portion of our dashboard that is not working, because I will skip it. In full transparency, I'm going to tell you there is a spot. So if you're paying attention, you'll know.
Actually, we think it's really good.
Thank you. We have a lot of folks that work really hard to keep this data up and current, and so we've been trying to make a few changes to it so that it is telling us exactly what we need to know and see so we can manage the program. So currently, right now, we only have past two projects that are late for advertising, but we do have several projects coming out. Show you a chart here in a few minutes. While this one says that we have 5 to advertise in the next 60 days, what you will see is that we have many more than that. In fact, it shows 127 getting ready to advertise more than 60 days out. But our main advertising period of time is coming up here, October, November, December. And so I'll show you a chart to show you how that we're ramping up for that as in the coming year. As an update, 676 projects have been approved by the commission that we are currently working on. I will skip this page. That one right there. We'll get this one to load. So since the first of the fiscal year, July 1, we've advertised 9 projects. Actually 8. There's one on here that doesn't need to be here, but totaling somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million since July 1. So our teams have been working really hard. That amounts to an 88% on-time delivery of the projects. We have one project that is advertised late since July 1, and so we're still at 88%, which we're very pleased about. Our target is 85, and we expect that number is going to grow up. It's just a lot of averages right now with one project being late and so few so far. So we expect that we'll continue to be able to.
Chris, I just have to ask, what in the world is number Craig Hancock sinusoidal rumble stripping? Because I've got complaints that some of our roads shake our teeth out. I'm wondering if that's similar to challenge. It's a word I don't know.
It's a great word, and we could ask Google, but what I'll tell you is Because the rumble strips do tend to shake your teeth out, right?
Yeah.
One of my vehicles, my wife veered onto them slightly once, and our radio stopped working, and all the lights in the car started to go. It shook something wrong, and we had to take it into the dealer to get it fixed. So they work. They work, even though she wasn't asleep. Sinusoidal rumble strips is and Robert's in the back, and I'll phone a friend if I don't get it close enough. But we grind into the pavement different shapes of rumble strips as we grind to create a change in the sound, so that that's sinusoidal. It creates a change in the sound so that you can hear it instead of just a loud thing. You'll hear. I'm not going to say music, but you will hear a tone. Right, Robert? Is that close enough?
It's pretty close.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Chris, the sinusoidal is a lot quieter.
Okay. So it doesn't disrupt the neighborhood as much, but it still wakes up the operator of the car to let them know that they're not in their lane.
Utah leading the way again. That's great.
Okay, so this chart demonstrates our current status of advertising. I got to go up just a little bit further so you can see the years. There you go. Oh. So currently right now we are in the middle of 21, so you'll see some green and some blue. So blue are upcoming projects that we're getting ready to advertise. Green are projects that we have advertised and they advertised on time. A red is a project that is late, that did not advertise on time, and you'll notice there's two little red marks. That corresponds to the two that we talked about just a minute ago. You can see that we're getting ready and ramping up our program as we come up into the fall and winter season for advertising the work and getting those out. This is a plan. It changes. The plan changes a little bit as we go, as we learn a bit more about projects. And so if you were to check back on this, it may look just a little bit different next month. As we work on that, we set our dates and our teams work to hit the committed dates. We call it a committed date. The project teams make commitments of when they're going to deliver, and they work really hard to deliver on those dates. That gives some consistency. It gives some surety to the contracting community as to when projects will be, so that they can plan their work and be ready to advertise or to bid for us. And so it's really helpful to make sure that we are maintaining a program that is consistent and reliable and dependable. And so we use this information to help make sure that we deliver what we promise. Currently, right now, we have 167 contracts under construction, and to make sure I get the number right, it changes all the time. About $900 million worth of current obligations unpaid on those contracts. The big blue line underneath, the big blue bar, a lot of that is work that has been done on current active projects. We've already paid out the blue line to our contractors. The Tech Corridor project, which is a significant project, there are others besides it. It's finished, but we haven't closed out the books yet on it. We're still working with the contractor to close out the books. So that project is still sitting down in the blue. And that project finishes up, it'll come off, as well as some of the other projects. And so this is a current snapshot of today of our obligation, our outstanding financial obligation to the contractor compared to what we've already met with them. And the last chart I'll show you today is our payments to our contractors. Right now, we're averaging approximately $3 million a day on average to payments to our contractors with all the work that we have going on in the state. You can see we're just a little bit below where we were last year, but last year we were finishing up Tech Corridor, so there was a real big push to do the last of the expensive work on that project, amongst others. You will see August, we're just halfway through the month right now in August, so that number will be up significantly as we move through the month. And then next month when we present, that bar will be up. So this is a live data as well. As of yesterday, what have we paid out to our contractors this month? So any questions?
I'll say this because Natalie will. This is a huge contributor to the Utah economy. We appreciate it. And it's being done on time. Any of us that had a home repair project know that they say June and they don't know that it's June this year, June next year, whatever. And you come through when you're supposed to. Congrats.
Thank you. We do. We, like every other construction industry in the state, we are having challenges relative to material delivery and on time. And so our contractors are doing great work to try and keep up and deliver what they promise as well. So we have to give hats off to them for trying to work through all the challenges that they have as well. It's a challenging time.
Go ahead, please.
You know, I'd just say, just from a sort of global economic perspective, that I don't think there's a time since World War II that there's been this much disruption, right? So you think during a world war, there's a lot of disruption in supply chains and labor constraints, Rosie the Riveter kind of things. But what an amazingly complex economy we have right now for the functions that UDOT does. So super impressive what we're able to do.
Thank you.
Chris, because of these challenges, have you changed your contingency amount that you usually do for the engineering part and estimates?
You know, yes and no. So our teams work really hard to learn what the current costs are. And so we keep track of those costs, manage them. And so as we estimate it, we try to make sure that we're aware of what is going on. There are cases when there's a lot of risk in certain types of work where they may increase their contingency for that type. But overall, we're not carrying significantly more. What we do rely on is our ability to work with you and for you to understand that there may be cases where we might have to come back. So what we would rather not do is carry huge contingency and have that sitting there unused for a significant period of time. We'd rather keep that money to work on current projects, and then if we do have issues that come up, be able to come back to the commission and address that with you individually, rather than putting money in the bank and having it sit there unused. So we do plan for that, and we're watching for that. And case by case, we are looking at our contingency. You do have an item on the agenda later, the Cottonwood wash, and that, because of the unknowns and the speed with which we're having to proceed with it, that does have a higher contingency in that estimate, as maybe compared to a paving project or a sidewalk project where we have a lot more confidence in those numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You could have handled it anywhere.
Sure. We'll deal with whatever we get. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for your time. It's good to be back with you all for a moment here. Just to do a quick report on where we're at with zero fatalities and our safety and performance metrics.
I'm sorry. Did you introduce yourself?
I did not. I apologize. I am Robert Miles. I'm still Robert Miles. Director of Traffic Safety. You know, my wife has not reassigned my name yet, so there we go. Year to date, we're sitting at 188 fatalities this year, which is higher than we were last year at this time. It's higher than we were the year before at this time. It's not a happy number, but it is our number right now. Crash-wise, our suspected serious injury crashes, we're at 831 year to date. Remember, we've got about a month worth of lag in that number, so figure that number's pretty good as of in July. Again, that is higher than our 3-year average, and it's a little higher than where we were last year. On traffic crashes, we are sitting about 32,000 crashes this year, year to date. That is following a pattern that's higher than where we were last year and higher than where we want to be. But there is other ways to take a look at the data that we've got. We do have some new numbers that have come in from NHTSA. The early projections for the 2020 fatality rates are in. That means the first 6 months of 2020, they have those rates information. The national average on fatality rate increased from 1.11 to 1.37, about a 24% increase. Last year, our fatality rate went up 0.28, or 28%, excuse me. But we are currently sitting about 0.9 fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, which is significantly lower than the national rate right now. We're still in the top 7 in the nation as far as rates in 2019. And we were in the top 5 in 2018, so we gotta turn it back around and head the other way. But even though these numbers are not what we want to see, relative to the rest of the nation, what's happening, we have an attenuated impact here, if you will. Any questions I can answer?
Or the reasons, Robert, what are the reasons? Anything to you or by way of the national average? Who's reporting?
So the numbers that are coming in from NHTSA show some different patterns that don't seem to reflect here in Utah. And the early numbers in 2020, it looks like nationally we saw more fatalities on the urban interstate. That's opposite the pattern we feel like we saw in 2020. The reason why, I would love to tell you exactly why, because I feel like it would make my job a lot easier if I understood what happened inside the driver's minds. I would point to the efforts of our partners and ourselves. We design good roads, we build good roads, we improve everything that we can touch. Our partners have the same approach. The highway patrol, the folks that do education for us, our drivers, instructors in schools, everybody has a desire to improve whatever they touch. I think that's what's helping us out. I wish I could tell you exactly what it was, because I would order twice of that. But right now our plan is to continue to find new ways to look at the data, find new ways to identify problems and solve them and move forward. That's our plan. That's my plan. Yes.
Who is ITSA?
I'm sorry, NHTSA.
NHTSA.
National Highway Traffic Safety Agency Administration. Excuse me.
Okay, thank you. So that's where the national stats come from. Thank you.
They're part of the Federal Highway Department. Transportation Department.
Rob, just anecdotal, it seems to me it's speed and distracted driving. I'm sitting there looking around and people are doing everything but looking at the dang road. I just can't believe it.
We feel like we have seen increase in speed, definitely on that. Distracted driving, we've been trying to put a much better feeler out there into what our distracted rates are in the state. I think I presented some numbers last time. We'll redo that study again this fall. Pretty excited about trying to benchmark that so we can really dive into what distracted means in the state of Utah, not just blame it on something that we all think we see or feel like we see, because I feel the same way. I feel like I see so much more distracted driving, but what I feel and what's actually happening are not always the same thing. So we want to verify that so we know we're spending our money in the right areas.
Did you say those numbers are for 100 million miles driven? How many miles do we drive in Utah every year? More than 100 million.
I can get that number for you.
You just ballpark it. That is
Probably
a
have
lot
that,
of wear and
that was
tear on our
just
roads.
If I don't crash the computer, I can get that number for you.
By the way, I just must say, Commissioner, how much I appreciate this really good dashboard, because people ask me questions, I just say, go to the dashboard. It answers a lot of questions.
So in 2019, we recorded 32.9 billion miles.
Billion?
Yes, sir.
In the state of Utah?
Yes, sir. Right now, we're sitting about our estimates based on the folks from planning, and we can't thank them enough for providing this early data. This is why we know where we're at. The other states are still kind of searching. Year to date, as of the end of June, I should say, our estimates are 16.8 billion miles.
Wow. That's a lot of wear and tear on our highways.
Yes, sir. Anything else I can provide?
Commissioner Tassel, did you have a question? Did you have a question?
No, I got it answered.
Most of those are from Commissioner Van Tassel, by the way. What is it, 250,000 on your pickup now?
I'll talk to the planning folks. Maybe they can get Commissioner Van Tassel to do it here for us. But, okay, if there's nothing else, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Robert.
And everything you do.
You're on the side of the initials for that. Frustrating.
We have a new item on the agenda. We're gonna try to see this report that Nathan Lee is gonna try to talk about. Innovation and efficiency reports. Please forgive us, that's the new item as of this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner. Nathan Lee, Director of Technology and Innovation. It's great to be with all of you this morning and talk to you a little bit about UDOT's annual Innovations and Efficiencies Report. Nearly 2 decades ago, we started as an agency identifying a portion of efficiencies that the agency could take that would put money back on the road, a way to help at a time of crisis and funding to make transportation better. Since that time, it's moved forward in numerous ways, and what you're looking at today culminates some of those efforts that have happened in the past year. An example of what that might look like about how you put money back on the road is if you open page 22 in your book. 22 talks about some projects in Davis County where you have
Excuse me,
US.
Nathan, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but maybe you could point, it's on the website as well for those that are watching online.
That's true. It is on the website, and if you type in UDOT Innovation, I believe it'll pull it up for you. It's the annual 2021 report. I'm sorry, I don't think we loaded it, but up there. But in page 22, it talks about two projects in Davis County. One of those was the US 89 project that you funded, which, as you recall, to help meet some of the community needs, they changed the way some of the overpasses worked in terms of elevated grades and the amount of material to be moved. Well, that material has to be paid for when it's moved. You might also recall you have a project that's a West Davis corridor, which needs a lot of material. Different contractors, different designers, a lot of different parts that are there, but if there's a way that the agency can coordinate one contract with another contract, there's opportunity to save, and in this case, multi-million dollars were saved and able to get one contractor to move the material to another contractor's project, and then have that other contractor be able to accommodate such a use. So that's the example, the types of things that are in this report. As you want to take a look through it and see some of the things that are there. In page 2, we mentioned a few things about, as Commissioner Gochner pointed out, it's a trying time, the time of COVID, the time of change that's there. For us as an agency, we had to adapt a workforce that nearly 700 people had to work from home for a period of time, and nearly 1,100 people had to work in a different outdoor and office setting than existed before. As well, we had to try new things. You might recall seeing throughout the country states that were stopping every vehicle at the state line to get travel declaration information for them, and the traffic problems that caused. So for us, we had opportunity not only to have our motor carrier division working in our airports and coordinating with them for traveler declaration, but we also tried new technologies. As some of you might remember, the alert systems that we tried through the phones, those emergency alert systems gave not only us an opportunity as government, but they gave private industry an opportunity to see whether the systems they were supposed to have implemented actually worked. We learned some things. Everybody learned some things from those systems about how well they could pinpoint an area and control messaging, but that will help all of us. So those innovations, in some ways, somebody's like, oh, but those alerts, they annoyed way too many people. And another opportunity that was there, we found out just how good we were at keeping an alert within a 5-mile radius, like the federal government had asked for all of those individual private contractors to be able to do with their carrier systems. And so as you look through these different opportunities that are there, we created a number of new dashboards telling us some of the information that you're seeing today, and a number of those dashboards that we still use and share in terms of how our traffic flows are moving, where problem spots are, all created by this change, this dynamic change. And that's what the Innovation and Efficiencies report is all about. It captures from so many different ways these opportunities and where to go, how to use them, how to move the work forward in a new way with new funds that maybe don't exist today. A lot of those that you program. And this is an annual report for us to be able to go back and show some of those things the agency's doing. I believe we had 229 ideas submitted this year, and we implemented about 131 of those. Again, the first step to change is to track it. And once you track it, you can identify whether or not the implementation is actually happening. And if you can see that implementation happen, it changes things.
How do you go about collecting the ideas?
That's a great question. So a couple of different things happen with collecting the ideas. One of them is we have a portion of our agency that works for me that actually gathers that information. So they're constantly reaching out and looking for that information. They look for it from employees. They look from our contractors, consultants, communities, so that we have open portals of feedback. We have areas on our website where people can submit ideas and questions. We're constantly scanning that information and looking looking for those items. We also run regular tickers of news and other information that's running out there where we gather things that seem related to our business and then check into those to see how they might apply. So a number of different ways that we reach out and use technology to do that.
You did mention the Innovation Council.
Yeah, sure. We have an Innovation Council. The Innovation Council for us covers a number of different areas. Internally, we have people assigned from every geographical region of the department. And that council has individuals that their first priority is to help try to collect and see those ideas, those things that are going on in their regions and communities. We also have people from, say, like project development that work for Chris and that are seeing ideas that might be happening in the construction industry, and they're bringing those to the front. And then we have partners like Federal Highways, who spoke to us earlier today. They have various programs for innovation that they use, and those particular programs that are there, they sit as a partner with us at the table and working to identify those elements and bring them forward. Like our digital design process that's led by the pre-construction division is moving everything from paper sets to actual live design that designers use and contractors use. And in simplicity, it's complex because contractors use a Trimble system and designers use a Bentley system, and those two systems don't talk. So when you talk about going to digital design, there's a lot to learn about how to make systems talk so that a grader on the road with a GPS unit can map what a designer built in a project on a screen when it started. Those type of innovations, though, change our industry and make UDOT an opportunity to lead out in some world-class efforts. Other questions? I hope you enjoy your opportunity to look at some of the highlights. Again, feel free to jump in and type innovation in on UDOT's website. It'll pull up the report, the past, I think since 2011, every report's there. And you can see for an opportunity for what the agent's doing to try and save money and be more efficient. Thank you.
Next item of agenda is a public comments, and as of this morning, we have one that I think Eileen is going to read to us. Good morning, Arlene.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Eileen Barron. I'm a strategic communications manager for planning and investment, and I'm joining you today to summarize two public comments that were received via the Transportation Commission inbox. These are two written comments, and we will have the comment in its entirety attached to the meeting minutes. But for our purposes right now, I have summarized them for you. The first comment received is from Jack Weiss. Mr. Weiss is inquiring why construction projects in Utah are so expensive. He says that projects in Utah are more expensive than projects in other countries and local private construction. He asks what the commission is doing to bring these costs down, or why projects in Utah cannot cost less. He suggests looking at the bidding process of other international governments or material sources of local private developers. The second written comment is from Emily Friedman. She's the coordinator of the Zion Regional Collaborative, and she wrote in regards to the SB2 Active Transportation Funding recommendations. The Zion Regional Collaborative facilitates regional planning and communication between the communities and land management agencies in the Zion region. Ms. Friedman wrote to highlight the proposed SR9 Zion Corridor Trail. This trail has been discussed since 2015 to provide a safer experience for riders and offer an active transportation alternative for residents and visitors that would connect the cities of La Verkin and Hurricane to the southern entrance of Zion National Park. In 2019, a feasibility study was conducted demonstrating widespread local support, and in 2020, the Zion Regional Collaborative began looking at next steps to bring the trail to fruition. Ms. Friedman writes, the active transportation funding secured by the state legislation through SB2 offers a unique opportunity to bring this much needed piece of infrastructure to life. She highlights that they have built a strong coalition of partners in southern Utah that approves the funding recommendations for SB2. And I'm just going to check our inbox to see if anything else has come in. Seeing nothing, that concludes the written public comments received.
Thank you, Eileen. Any other comments from the public this morning? Anyone regarding the design of the UDOT project? Please introduce yourself and.
Yes. Good morning, Commission. My name is Benjamin Henderson from Duchesne County Road Department. I'm the director of the department. I was asked by our commissioners to come and present today, and I guess I'm just going to start by saying I thank Carlos and the Region 3 team for having the ability to communicate with you guys and have our quarterly meetings that we meet and have discussion about projects that are in need within the county and Uinta County as well. So commissioners wanted to apologize they couldn't make it today because they had some other obligations. So they asked me to speak. That's my first time, so I'm a little nervous, and thanks for seeing me. One of the things they'd asked me to talk to you about was we have a concern about the way the passing or lack of passing lanes in, I think it's roughly, I want to say mile marker 68 through about 72, right there near the interchange of 208 to go to Tabby, turn off. There's those acceleration lanes are within that intersection going eastbound, and deceleration lane going eastbound, turning on to 208. We have traffic using those more often than not. I see it a lot. People using those acceleration lanes as passing lanes, and there's not a lot of traffic using those acceleration lanes, but so we're asking through that section right up past the rest area to have the commission and UDOT take a look at that to see if there's an ability to enhance passing lanes through that section. I think it's a real big need. So that was what the commission had asked me to come and present today. So, thank you. If there's any other questions for me.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Quinn Benyon, Vernal City Manager. Welcome to Vernal again. You heard from me yesterday. Today I wanted to thank the Commission and the Region 3 team. They do a wonderful job of communicating with us locals, and I presume that occurs throughout the state. Been really impressed with that. In my career, I've worked with 2 other DOTs, and I can say that UDOT does an exceptional job with those communications, the regional meetings. Almost weekly, I have some sort of contact, a text or email or a phone call with one of the Region 3 staff. So really appreciate that, and I appreciate all the work that is being done in the basin. Thank you.
Thank you for the tour yesterday. That was very helpful. And for all the beautiful flowers.
Just like Quinn, I have also worked with other DOTs and also traveled throughout the states and the countries. And I promise, without prejudice, this is one of the best DOTs that I have seen. By way of communications, their follow-up, their openness to the public, transparency, and most of all, the frugalness. They really know how to take care of the money for the state and the citizens. Thank you, UDOT. Any other public comments? Don't be shy. This one is free. Okay, we're moving on to the next item. It will be the business item, and the man of the house is coming forward. Ivan, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Our first item this morning is item number 6. It is the June 2021 meeting minutes and funding adjustments approval.
Included in the packet, the consent agenda packet, is the June 25th, 2021 minutes, as well as the exhibit on projects that have been awarded, have been identified with budget amounts that can be recovered or are in a closeout process and funding can be removed. So again, included the minutes from last month, as well as the public comments that were received through all the business items. And then informational items. Last portion is that projects returning funding sheet. Shows 3 projects returning funds this month. The request today is a motion to approve the adjustments to the projects in the included table and approve the June 25, 2021 commission minutes as detailed.
Chair will make that motion.
I'd second that.
There's a motion and a second on the minutes and of course of the attachment. Any other questions, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item 7A, beginning at 7A-1, this is I-84 Rattlesnake to Howell. It's a funding addition and scope change with pavement funds, a change of $3.8 million. The updated estimate during the design phase of this project shows an additional $1.7 million is needed to account for escalating concrete panel pricing. Also during the design phase, the project team recommended adding cattle guards at 3 locations to improve safety and remove and replace 5,800 feet of cable loop barrier with 42-inch cast in place barrier. There will be 8 new cattle guards needed for the project. 4 of the installations will be across county roads which require extra long guards and 4 across the bottom of the ramps. The estimate for this scope increase of the cable barrier and the cattle guards is $2.1 million for a total project need of $3.8. Shown here on our map along I-84 with these 3 locations for the cattle guard. Our request today is a motion to approve adding funds and modifying scope to the I-84 Rattlesnake to Howell project as detailed.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead. I would move that we approve. I stopped at this location here not too long ago, and I can see the need for it. So I was passing through and stopped. A lot of cattle in that area. I think this is do it right while we're there.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion and agree with Commissioner Van Tassel. It's an important area. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. I have just one question. Is there any way you can educate the cattle to use the sign we have that says crossing? Cattle crossing. There's a specific sign in English. We can't just do that. Rather than just go in every direction that they want.
We'll work on the training.
Any other questions, concerns? All in favor of item A-1, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item A-1 is approved.
7A-2, this is the roundabout on SR 39 in Huntsville. This is a new project funded with safety funds. SR 39 is a high traffic area for recreational users. The location leads to Pineview Reservoir via 100 South in Huntsville, Causey Reservoir and other recreational areas via SR 90 or SR 39 to the east, and the north part of Ogden Valley on 7800 East. Due to the amount of recreational traffic, significant congestion occurs at this intersection during holidays and weekends, which can lead to safety concerns. In conjunction with Weber County, UDOT performed an intersection analysis and determined a roundabout would be the best option to improve safety and reduce congestion at this intersection. Shown here on our map, an estimate on the design showing the roundabout here coming on SR 39. Request today is a motion to approve adding the roundabout on SR 39 and Huntsville project for the current Stip as detailed.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
One second.
There's a motion and a second. You go ahead, question.
Just a question, do roundabouts really work for Americans these days? Just curious.
Rob, do you wanna?
If we can't train the cows on cows.
Roundabouts, this was one where we worked closely with the Rob White, Region 1 Director, still. This is one where a lot of times our default is to just install a signal. And in this case, we went to Weber County and the community up there, and they really didn't want a signal. They wanted something different. So this is the solution that we came up with through the study. And it does function according to plans. Of people are going to need to get used to it. But we're seeing more and more of these across the U.S. We have very few on state routes. Marsack Avenue in Park City is probably one of the only ones I think we have. And then we have one down in Region 4.
23rd East off.
Okay, that's
up. That is the confusion. For
So-
those people in Salt Lake.
We need to educate them.
Yeah, that's right.
So after the study, we determined that this is the best benefit cost ratio, as well as it's something the community wanted, and so I feel it's a great solution for this area.
I would agree. I think if they are, hopefully that everyone else appreciates it.
Yes, go ahead.
Just an experience, roundabouts are not for everyone. We just in Cedar City, and to your point, Rob, I think the fact that how UDOT works with the community is so very important. There were concerns with the bridge replacement that we're doing in Cedar City, and in partnership with the city, a roundabout had been configured, and Region 4 was really great to, it's not a UDOT project at that point, but Region 4 was really great to work with the city and property owners and those who have large equipment going through that area, and together determined that maybe a roundabout wasn't the best solution for that, because, just a little bit off and taking out all the candles of the animal shelter. So working with the community, I think, is just one of the really great things that UDOT does, and I just want to commend and applaud and jump up and down and extend compliments.
We have several out in southern Utah and St. George, and people are getting finally used to it, and their education has come to the point of that they're using it, and traffic flows beautifully.
So we're going to need to do community outreach and make sure our signing package and the design of the actual roundabout can handle things like horse trailers. I mean, this is a rural community that has a lot of farming and ranching, and so we're going to make sure that it accommodates the larger vehicles.
Because we had one in the Bryce Canyon, and just suddenly somebody just went through it exactly from the east-west without stopping. So, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
There have been several roundabouts installed in Cache Valley, and they are very effectively controlling traffic and speed. That's one thing I've noticed, and I travel extensively in Idaho as well, and I noticed Idaho is using roundabouts.
Yeah.
Greatly increase their use of roundabouts. So I think they're great.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We're becoming more European, Lou.
Oh, we are.
Yes, one way or another.
Great.
Well, driving on the right side of the road is still my preference. Well, I think this is a great training ground. Huntsville is the place to do it, so
Yes,
I certainly support it.
Thank you. On that note, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7A-2 is approved.
Thank you. 7A3, this is SR 68 Village Parkway to Grandview in Saratoga Springs, is a funding addition of a little over $2 million. The project scope was to widen SR 68 to 5 lanes with buffered bike lanes, install a multi-use pathway, and install a continuous flow intersection at Pioneer Crossing and Redwood Road. The construction was completed in the fall of 2019. 4 parcels were pending agreement with compensation. Agreement has now been reached, and additional funding is needed to close the project. This item was recommended for approval by the MPO Technical Advisory Committee on July 26, 2021, and approved by the MPO Regional Planning Committee on August 5th, 2021, and this is Mountain Land Association of Companies, MPO. Shown here on our map, the continuous flow intersection and Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs. The request today is a motion to add funds to the SR 68 Village Parkway to Grandview in Saratoga Springs project as detailed.
I move for approval. Rob and I both participated in those meetings and support this. Mayors and everyone supported that as well there in Utah County.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Any further questions, concerns? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7A-3 is approved.
Thank you. 7A4 SR 114 to 2000 North in Provo is a funding addition and scope change with the Transportation Solutions Funds. The project scope is to install a new signal at the intersection of 2000 North and Provo and SR 114. After evaluating the SR 114 corridor and coordinating with both Orem and Provo, additional pavement, width, and utility relocations are needed on each leg of the intersection. This item was recommended for approval by the MPO Technical Advisory Committee on July 26, 2021, and approved by the MPO Regional Planning Committee on August 5th, also in Mountain Land Association of Governments. Shown here on our map, the intersection on 114 or State Road 114. The request today is a motion to approve adding funds and modifying scope to the SR 114 and 2000 North milepost 3.82 Provo project as detailed.
I move for approval. Same, we discussed in that same meeting. I move for approval.
Right, thank you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. I just want to make a comment that Transportation Solution Funds has been a saving grace for all the regions. It's been appropriate and it has been used most effectively. Any questions, concerns on this item? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7A-4 is approved.
Thank you. Item 7A-5 is the item that was talked about yesterday in our staff meeting, the commission staff meeting. This is the Cottonwood Wash Bridge Emergency Repair and Replacement Projects. There are two projects listed on our fact sheet. The first one showed the emergency repairs, initially funded with $250,000 out of the Transportation Solutions Program, and the request is to add $250,000 to it. The second project is the Cottonwood Wash Bridge Replacement Project with the requested amount of $5.5 million. On August 2nd, 2021, during a routine inspection on structure 0C301 located on SR 95 over Cottonwood Wash, which is west of Landing, it was discovered that the east abutment footing of the bridge had been significantly undermined by the sandstone supporting the footing collapsed into the wash. It appears that the high flows and wash experienced during flash flooding scoured the lower layer of rock away, leaving the upper layer of rock unsupported. After verifying measurements and sounding the underlying sandstone, a decision was made to close the bridge for further investigation and repairs. The Cottonwood Wash Bridge Emergency Repairs Project was created to perform emergency repairs and install temporary supports under the bridge. These repairs are designed to stabilize the structure and safely allow normal vehicle traffic across the bridge as a temporary solution. A separate Cottonwood Wash Bridge Replacement Project will be created to replace the existing structure 0C301. This structure will have the foundation details better suited to accommodate the surrounding soil types and similar flash flood events in the future. Both the emergency repair and the bridge replacement projects will be funded through the statewide Transportation Solutions Program. Any funds remaining from the initial repair project will be transferred directly into the bridge replacement project. Shown here on our map, Landing 191 down to State Route 95, and our structure located here. Included in the fact sheet are some pictures about the structure. This is the 2019 inspection picture with side by side with the 2021 inspection picture. A little closer up, see the overhang of the foundation. and a wider view of the structure itself, shown here on your screen. Our request today is a motion to add funds to the Cottonwood Wash Bridge Emergency Repairs Project and add the Cottonwood Wash Replacement Project to the current STIP as detailed.
For the public information, I have been personally briefed by the Rick Torgerson, the region director, prior to this meeting, and commission received extra information yesterday in our staff meeting. So we have really adequate information on the urgency and emergency of this particular bridge.
I'm happy to make the motion.
Please.
As I do that, though, I just want to mention, I just think it's so amazing that a sort of routine inspection discovered this, and it's a credit to the processes and procedures that happened.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any further questions, concerns?
I'm just gonna, what Commissioner Gochner said, this is not in, where everybody sees it every day. This is in the middle of nowhere. And also these pictures are very helpful. I know we keep track over time to see the deterioration of it. Thanks for that continued diligence to ensure that we really do see where status stands.
When the detour is like 300 miles, it really does say it's in the middle of.
Yeah.
It is middle of nowhere, yeah. But thank you for your comments. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7A-5 is approved.
Thank you. 7A6, these are informational only items. We have 4 project combinations, just as an informational item. The first one is SR 209. This is 90th South Redwood Road, 700 West, being combined with the SR 209 700 West State Street project. The second one, located in Region 3, is a cable barrier along I-15, two projects being combined. Our last 2 projects are located in Region 4, one along I-15, a cable barrier project, and the second project is, project set is along I-70. The above tables show the 4 project combinations. Project combinations are done to provide efficiency in project delivery. 7A7 is also an informational item. This is the Wasatch Front Regional Council TIP amendment. These 3 projects are funded with suballocated funds directly to the MPO and do not require commission action. Our first item is 4700 South, 4000 West to 5600 West. Is a funding addition and scope change. The original scope that was funded in 2012 was to reconstruct the existing roadway, widen the roadway between 4000 West and 4800 West, 2 lanes in each direction with a center turn lane, add bike lanes in both directions of travel, add sidewalking gap areas, and replace and extend the Utah and Salt Lake Canal structure. Kearns Metro Township in the West Valley City would like to get the project advertised so construction on the Utah and Salt Lake Canal box culvert can occur with this winter when the water is shut off. Unfortunately, agreements with Union Pacific have been delayed and will not be executed in time to meet the schedule to allow for winter construction to begin. To keep the project moving forward, Kearns Metro Township and West Valley City would like to make the following 3 requests. And I'll show here on the map and just talk through these. The first here is the canal work. They would like to reduce the scope limits to remove the canal work and put it outside of the project limits. As well as here, we have a Union Pacific line. They would like to remove the scope along that Union Pacific line, which will allow them to continue moving forward with the unhighlighted areas as the project. And additionally, $7.5 million of local government funds will be added to the project to address increases in material and labor costs and address right-of-way price escalations. Our next item, Bengal Boulevard and 2300 East Roundabout. The scope of the Bengal Boulevard and 2300 East Roundabout project is to construct a new 5-leg roundabout accessing Bengal Boulevard, which is 2300 East, 2325 East, and Brighton High School. The project was advertised in June with bids coming in 33% higher than the engineers estimated, based mostly on 3 factors, which is the mobilization, traffic control, and material escalation. The project will be resubmitted for advertising later this fall with construction occurring in the summer of 2022. A letter from Cottonwood Heights is included, shown here, Bengal Boulevard with Bryan High School, and the current design estimate on the intersection configuration.
Expect our teenage students to figure that one out, I guess. With the cell phones, yeah, whether.
Our last one is Vine Street, 1300 east of Van Winkle. This is a reconstruction widening project. The scope of this project was to reconstruct the existing roadway, widen the roadway to provide 2 lanes in each direction with the center turn lane, add bike lanes in both direction of travel, and add sidewalk in gap areas. This project was initially approved and funded in 2016. Current estimates show this project to be underfunded. Murray City is requesting to add an additional $1.1 million to account for increased material, labor, and construction costs. Wasatch Front Regional Council will add $650,000, with Murray and Salt Lake County adding the remaining $385,000. A letter from Murray City is also included in the packet. Shown here on our map, Vine Street. These items will be presented to the Wasatch Front Regional Council in the meeting scheduled for August 26, 2021.
Chair?
Yes.
I'm a Murray resident. I cycle a lot in the city and I'm very enthusiastic about this project. And I'll let someone else make the motion, but I just wanted to express that.
Okay. Next time around.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay. Next item is 7B, and I will be turning the mic over to Stephanie Tomlin.
Good morning, Commissioners. Stephanie Tomlin with the Central Planning Division, the GIS Data and Modeling Program Manager. So today I'm just going to talk through this agenda item. So some background. This is from Senate Bill SB2 from the 2021 General Legislative Session, appropriated $35 million to be used for active transportation projects. The intent language is outlined here that you can see. Stipulations. One stipulation I'll note is it does require a 20% match from the local communities. So the background on this is in March of 2021 at the staff update and the commission meeting, UDOT proposed choosing projects identified as regionally important active transportation projects in our department approved active transportation plan to be considered for the SB2 funding. In May 2021 commission meeting, UDOT presented for information only the ranked list of the regionally important active transportation projects, 24 of them in total. The ranking was done using the TIF active prioritization model. And then in June 2021 commission meeting, UDOT gave a status update on the coordination of this with the cities and county regarding that required match and just the overall kind of thoughts on the project in the community. So this agenda item is to present funding recommendations and request approval at those funding levels. So as a reminder, just scrolling down to, this is the list of recommendations for funding consideration today. The second page there. So we'd like to request motion to approve the 2021 SB2 active transportation funding levels as detailed.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you for that. We have seen this table a few times.
Indeed.
Discussed in detail a few times, so.
We've liked it every time too.
We liked it every time. It is really, and covers all the regions. Nobody can complain that we missed one region or we give the preferential treatment to one region. So if there's no questions, no comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Next item is 7C. This is the draft 2022 to 2026 State Rural Transit Program for approval. In the June 2021 Commission meeting, The draft 2022-2026 statewide rural transit program was presented for review. That draft statewide rural transit program was open for review and public comment from June 26th to July 31st. No comments were received on the statewide rural public transit program. Included in our packet is the list of the program recipients. And our request today is a motion to approve the draft 2022 to 2026 statewide rural public transit program to be included in the draft 2022 to 2027 STIP as detailed.
Make a motion to approve that.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you for the second. Any other questions, comments?
I think it also fits with Governor Cox's focus today too in the rural.
That's exactly right. All in favor of the item C, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7C is approved.
Thank you. 7D, this is our 2022 Rec Trails program. I believe Chris Haller is also online with us. He was able to attend virtually, but not in person today. In the June 2021 commission meeting, the 2022 Recreational Trails program was provided for review. These projects were selected and administered through the Utah State Parks and Recreations Division. Funds may be used to provide and maintain recreational trails for motorized and non-motorized recreational trail uses, including trailside and trailhead facilities. It includes provisions to facilitate access for people with disabilities as well. In the 2022 program, Utah has 30 projects totaling $2.2 million in federal aid funds and $9.6 million of sponsored matching funds for a total of just shy of $11.9 million in new project value. And our contact information of the Recreational Trails Program, Division of Natural Resources, Chris Haller. Some pictures from previous projects included in the packet, as well as our list of the motorized 10 project lists shown here.
We put the cents on that, makes it look a lot bigger than they are. Where's Chris Peterson?
Guess you're gonna have to teach Chris how to do that. Chris,
Unteachable.
no 0.00s.
And our non-motorized list. Again, we had two project applications that were not able to be funded this year, and they were also included in the packet.
Not recommended.
So back to the top of our list, our request today is a motion to approve adding the 2022 Recreational Trails Program to the current STIP as detailed.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Again, Chris Haller, we thank you for your diligence in the projects that you deliver every year. And thank you, smiling in the process.
Thank you, and greatly appreciate the support and dedication from the Transportation Commission, along with the wonderful staff from the Department of Transportation. I have a wonderful relationship with several of those individuals that work for UDOT, and I just can't express the gratitude. And as you can see on the monetary side of things, our small little amount goes a long way, especially across the state. And so greatly appreciate your time. Wish I could be there in person. We will get there soon enough. Thank you again.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the agenda item number D. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7D is approved.
Mr. Chairman, may I just say, this is something that's such a visible to the public.
Yes.
We ought to obviously publicize and be grateful for, because lots of places don't have this kind of thing. So thank you, Chris, and thank you all. This is huge for our outreach to the public we serve.
Thank you for the comment.
Next item is 7E, the draft fiscal year 2022 to 2027 statewide transportation improvement program. The draft 2022-2027 statewide transportation improvement program has been prepared and summarized and reflect guidance and suggestions resulting from the region priorities and the commission workshop, the April commission workshop. At the June commission meeting, approval was given to publish the draft STIP. Notice was given in local newspapers with information regarding to whom and how to comment. The draft STIP was also open for review and public comment from June 26th through July 31st on the UDOT website. This website also contained electronic form for comments submittals. Comments were received regarding the STIP by both the department and the MPOs. And we have Eileen Barron also here, stop sharing, to provide a summary of the comments received.
Yes, hello, commissioners. I'm Eileen Barron. I'm a strategic communications manager for planning and investment. And I'm here to give you a summary of the comments received. And as part of that, I want to put a little bit of context around our overall public outreach process and how the STIP fits within that. So we received 58 comments on the State Transportation Improvement Program. Again, the commission approved the draft plan in June to be available for public comment. And we highlighted that comment period on UDOT's homepage, and each MPO conducted public outreach to receive comments. UDOT and the MPOs accepted comments in multiple formats, including an interactive map, online comment forms, email, and a public open house. I want to make sure you're aware that the STIP is based on the Unified Long-Range Transportation Plan, which also has a public process. The long-range plan process provides opportunities for the public to engage with transportation planning during a phase that can influence project definition. UDOT and the MPOs gather public input early in the long-range planning process, considering public input alongside other technical data and analysis in the plan development. Like the STIP, the long-range plan is put out in draft form for public review and comment before being finalized. And the projects funded in the STIP must be in phase 1 of the long-range plan. I also want you to be aware that there's additional opportunity for public participation during the project development process after the projects are funded through the STIP process. Members of the public can comment on projects and engage with UDOT's region offices during project development, construction, and ongoing maintenance and operations. And online capabilities have made commenting more accessible to some populations. We are hearing from people who have never attended a public meeting, but they are able to participate from a phone or computer using online tools. The comments on the STIP this year came from the Wasatch Front and Northern Utah geographic areas. Each MPO invited comments on their respective transportation improvement programs, or the draft TIP. The TIP is submitted to FHWA and FTA as part of the STIP. The comments submitted to the CASH MPO expressed concerns about proposed roundabouts in Logan and Smithfield. Comments submitted to WFRC, that's Wasatch Front Regional Council, addressed 4 areas: the need for specific new roads and road widenings to address connectivity and traffic demand, requests for bike paths and pedestrian access to be included with other funded projects or as new independent projects, requests for transit reliability, frequency, and coverage, and the need for safety and operational improvements in various parts of the region. The comments in their entirety will be attached to the meeting minutes for your reference. Any questions about our public process or the comments that we received?
I don't see. Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eileen. Our request today is a motion to submit the draft 2022-2027 STIP to Federal Transit and Federal Highway for approval.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I second that.
There's a motion and second with a pause.
Seen a lot of it, so we know what it is.
Any more questions, concerns? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 7E is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kimberly O'Reilly. I'm the Right-of-Way Deputy Director for Charles Stormont, who is unable to be here today. He is at Ashto in Kansas, enjoying his time there. I consider it a privilege and an honor to be able to present to you today. The first thing I'd like to go over is
Ms. Kimberly, speak to the microphone, please.
Yes. The first thing I'd like to go over is our corridor preservation budget. Our balance forward was a little just over $14 million. We have had some revenue in the amount of a little over $744,000. This consisted of our motor vehicle rental tax revenue, our property management rental revenue, and our interest income. We've also had some expenses, a little over $184,000, which consists of our property management expenses, assessments and taxes, our right-of-way expenses, and our accounts receivable line. There is what the accounting department uses to balance the fund. If there's been any checks that have not been cashed, so they use that to balance. So our total expenses of $184,008. We have had a closing occur on our Braithwaite previously obligated transaction in the amount of $281,100. And let me just get this down a little bit. And this leaves our fund balance just slightly over $15 million. Do you have any questions regarding the expenses or the revenue? All right.
Mr. Chairman, I just say I certainly appreciate Kimberly's support on this, and as a member of that subcommittee, you may just look, for example, the motor vehicle rental tax revenue is $655,000. That's a month based on the taxing proposal, which we do. We're the only state in America that gets that kind of opportunity to use it for these kind of purposes. And that's up dramatically from last year at this time, which is a very good indicator of the growth of the economy. So it's a marvelous funding mechanism. So thank you for that.
Yes, it is. And we look forward to that increasing as time goes on. We do have 5 parcels that are previously obligated in the amount of a little over $8.7 million. Taking those into consideration, our fund balance sits at a little over $6.3 million. Do you have any questions regarding the previously obligated properties? All right. We have one item on the agenda today. This is on our SR 73 project in Saratoga Springs, just west of the Mountain View corridor. The cost of this vacant land would be $5.4 million, leaving us a balance in the fund of just over $800,000. Do you have any questions regarding the fund balance?
Kimberly, do you have the map of that parcel that you can place?
I do.
Sheet?
Yes. We'll move on to our one item on the agenda. This property that we are wanting to purchase is from the Dastrup family. It is currently in Saratoga Springs. It does have an unoccupied residence on it. It is vacant land. The residence actually does not have any contributory value. to it at this point in time. I'm going to show you the map now. Whoops. All right, there. Okay, so in blue, you will see the property that we're wanting to purchase. The total size of this property is 18.51 acres. The future SR 73 westbound project will cut off all access to the property. Sorry. We actually only need 6.4 acres for our project, but there would be substantial damages to the remainder if we were not to buy it in full at this point in time. We already own the properties to the east and the west of this property, so it makes sense to purchase the full property at this point in time. The land has appraised for a little over $5.4 million. This is $6.75 per square foot, or $294,000, just over $294,000 per acre for the project. The land is zoned for commercial development, and developers have been contacting this property owner, and these property owners have waited for UDOT to come through to take that access. The Advisory Council has given us a favorable recommendation to approve this request. And do you have any questions regarding the property?
This question is, I look at the map, there's kind of a gray swath through there. Is that a canal or something?
That is a canal, and that is owned in fee ownership by the canal.
So what will happen to excess properties that after you have your right-of-ways for the road?
I'm sorry?
What will happen to the excess properties that you're gonna have after you build your road?
After we build our road, it will more than likely be surplused. And this will actually bring additional funds once it has been surplused on our auction. We have an online auction that will actually bring money back into our transportation needs, to serve our transportation needs.
You know which Dastrup family this is?
Pardon?
You know any Dastrup? I was just wondering which, if you give any more details of first names or who that is.
I do not have that information.
And did you hear the question?
I was just wondering which Dastrup family this is.
They're, yeah, there's been a sister, but there's 10 or 11 siblings that are all kind of involved in that.
Okay, I just know there's several around the valley and insurance and other things. I was just curious which one it was. Thank you.
They've been good to deal with, Diane, correct?
Yes, they've been very good to do. We've been working with them for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. And Diane's very good for them to work with, so it's a nice combination.
Yes.
Well, the value's not gonna go down out there with what's going out there. So.
They have been gracious enough to hold that value for us. And I think this was, I guess, Wayne Barlow's last vote was on this one. So in memory of Wayne, I certainly am supporting this. It's a great deal all around, but certainly am supporting it.
Do you have any
questions?
Okay. Thank you. We are asking permission to purchase the property in total at this time.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second on this parcel. Any further questions? Yes.
I'll just say, Mr. Chair, I really like learning about once you get the property and you have some excess public assets, that it goes back into the private. I was curious about that, so that helps me to know that.
May I just say, Charles and Kim's section handles those properties. They I don't know if you're going to report on that. There recently was an auction, very successful.
Yes, we did have a very successful auction. I do not have those figures with me.
But it was more than we expected.
Oh, yes.
It goes back to
Yes.
the taxpayers.
Yes.
It gets back into
the transportation fund.
Yes.
For you to spend on more projects.
That's right.
And that land goes to a private use.
It's a private entity, gets on the tax rolls, absolutely. Now, we've been very aggressively working statewide to auction off those properties that we do not need. It's quite a process because we look out at we look at the Unified Long Range Plan, try to determine, because we don't want to buy back property that we sell. So
There's anything wrong with commercial.
we've done that before.
Well, it is really well handled. May I just say, as somebody who's in that business, I'm sure pleased with that. And those auctions are held. There's a lot of restrictions on selling public property with notice and right of first refusal and other things. And Kim and Charles and Diane have handled that extremely professionally, I must say.
Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8-A is approved. Thank you for the late.
Thank you for your time.
Look, Charles, that you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
He can stay in Kansas as long as he wants, which is not very long.
Okay, that concludes our reports from the staff. Anything from the commission? Any committees? Yes.
Since you've just acknowledged the staff, I don't know if it's because it's been so long since we've met, but I'm just really struck by the effort that goes into preparing for these commission meetings on a monthly basis. And I know you present to us, to our faces, but we merely represent the taxpayers, the state at large. I just want to thank you for all the work that goes into making sure that the information is shared, that efficiencies are celebrated, and that we are fortunate enough to represent the taxpayer in that regard. But thank you so much for your work. I know a lot of work goes into these preparations, and I appreciate it.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, I wanted to just take a second, if it's okay, to just share some 2020 census results. Would that be okay?
Yes.
I only wanted to do this because, you know, once every 10 years, our nation does a complete enumeration. We got 2020 results in April of our state total, fastest growing state, 18.4% increase. We got our second drop of census data yesterday. So there's only been 2 releases, and one was yesterday. And the value of yesterday's release is we got neighborhood release because it's for the redistricting, which commences. But so South Jordan made national headlines as one of the 10 fastest growing cities in the country. Salt Lake City maintains the title of the largest city in the state, just under 200,000, followed by West Valley and West Jordan. Harriman added the most new residents of any community in our state. So that's kind of interesting. They're not the largest, but they added the most, over 33,000 new residents. And then this one's can relate to the commission because of work we've done, but Vineyard, think of Vineyard by Utah Lake, it grew by over 8,000%, growing from 12,543 residents, 139 residents in 2010 to 12,543. So in 10 years, they did that. And then I think our chair might be a little disappointed, but Wasatch County, not Washington, but Wasatch County was our fastest growing county, increased by 47.9%. So think of the state at 18.4, and it grew by 47%. And then maybe the last thing I'll just add is that 62% of our growth came from groups outside of the non-Hispanic white population. So a lot of diversification in our state. So that's just a quick summary from the team. I thought that the commission would find that interesting, and you'll see stories on this throughout the weekend as all the data is being digested and seeing what it all means.
Thank you, Natalie. And yes, Wasatch Front can have all the growth we don't want in Washington. Stay put. Any other report from the commissioners? Next meeting is September 16 through 17, and Layton will be the place to gather. Carlos, you have any more reports?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Terry?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any more input? Anything? Lisa? From anyone from the public? Otherwise, I'm going to call for adjournment. Motion?
So moved.
It's not debatable. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.